Thank you for joining us for today's AIS session, Key Giving Day Success Strategies. My name is Courtney Porcio, and I am a Client Solutions Consultant on the RNL Scale Funder team. I work with partners across the country to help them develop strategies for crowdfunding and Giving Day campaigns using the Scale Funder platform. Today, I am joined by my friend and colleague, Kylene Kreco, who is the Assistant Director of Annual and Special Giving at DePaul University. Kylene and her team recently hosted a record-breaking Giving Day, the Blue Demon Challenge. And during today's session, Kylene will offer expert insights as we talk about how Giving Days offer you a unique opportunity to engage all of your constituent groups. Welcome, Kylene.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit, sort of frame this conversation through RNL Scale Funder to let you know that most of the examples, including Kylene's wonderful DePaul examples today, are going to be stats, examples from the Scale Funder partners we work with, but a lot of this advice really does apply to any Giving Day platform as you are looking to engage your constituents. So to kick things off today, I want to share a little bit about Giving Day engagement and share a few statistics we've gathered from our partners who use the RNL Scale Funder platform. In 2022, the average online gift for Giving Day was $143. Most of our partners' Giving Day totals are made up of some magic combination for them of organic dollars, which have been donated through the RNL Scale Funder Giving Day site, and some early or offline gifts that the advancement teams will load into the platform. So across all of our partners, 77% of total dollars come from offline gifts that are loaded in by the team, but 73% of the number of gifts are coming through online organic donations. These stats, looking at them through the lens of a Giving Day, really do lead to one obvious conclusion, and I think Kylene would probably agree with me here, and that is that Giving Days can make a huge impact in your donor acquisition strategy. So knowing those engagement stats, our goal at RNL Scale Funder is to help our partners create an easy-to-use, dynamic, and personalized Giving Day site for all of their donors. The Giving Day homepage, as you're seeing here from DePaul's Blue Demon Challenge, is really your first line of defense in drawing in potential donors, and customization is key. So through the RNL Scale Funder platform, you can set up custom branding, use of a Google font, a logo, custom group tile images for your giving areas, the homepage update feature to share key information, and to save the date. So before we dive into the possible niche constituent groups you might want to target with Giving Day marketing, I want to ask the expert here on the line and learn a little bit about how DePaul uses the platform to maximize engagement of all donors. So Kylene, can you share a little bit about what DePaul prioritizes in building an engaging and customized Giving Day site?
Sure. I mean, the Giving Day really is such a perfect opportunity for the whole community to come together. So whether it's, our academic colleagues and people within the Office of Advancement, trying to pull together to make this effort happen, or of course, our broader community that we're inviting to come in and be a part of it, we want to make sure everybody's represented, that everybody is able to give to an area that's meaningful to them, just as you would do throughout the year. You always are trying to, tie people's giving into the areas that they really want to have an impact. And we want to make sure that our Giving Day does that as well. So we are, able to use the platform to really kind of tie all of those elements together. We've in images from campus. We have a couple of campuses at DePaul, so sometimes it could feel a little disconnected. And it's just a great platform to make sure that everybody can find their home, their school or college, their degree or athletics, and see what's going on there and learn how they can make a gift and make an impact on that day.
Incredible. I love this conversation already, talking about really targeting your donors and meeting them where they are. So on the subject of engagement, Kylene, I'm hoping you will share a little bit about some of my favorite aspects of the Blue Demon Challenge, including BDC Live and some of your other on-campus engagement activities. So I'd love to learn a little bit from you, and we'll look at some examples here.
Sure. I love talking about BDC Live. I take no credit for BDC Live. We are really fortunate to have some very talented colleagues who put this together, and it really falls to two of my colleagues. It is just a substantial amount of work. BDC Live started during the pandemic. our Giving Day isn't kind of at a typical time. I know we see most of these happen more in the spring. With us, it's during kind of our Spirit Week, what's known as Blue Demon Week. And so it generally falls in January or February. And as a result of that, when COVID hit in 2020, we had already completed our Giving Day, and we were not one of the schools that was impacted by, having to choose whether to go forward. But then it did mean that by the time the next one came around, we had now all been in lockdown for, 9 months. And we were, still remote and trying to think about not only how do we make the day happen. I mean, the tools that we have through RNL allow all of this to happen online, so we can make it happen from anywhere. But we were losing that feeling of being on campus, having this kind of be a big day, a celebration. And so a couple of our colleagues came up with an idea of we call this the Blue Demon Challenge, our Giving Day. We refer to it as BDC. So they said, let's do a live stream, and BDC Live came out of that. We do have some recorded segments, and this year we used more recorded segments than we had in the past. But the first year that we did it, which was in January of 2021, it was a substantial amount of it was live stream. It is 24 hours. I cannot overstate how much it takes for these guys to put it together. They're miracle workers, but they take, interviews with alumni donors, interviews with students, footage from campus, things. We had classes from our, workout center, the Ray Meyer Fitness Center. So we were able to offer people, even though we were all apart, not only our donors, but our staff as well, we were still able to offer them that sense of things are still happening on campus. We are still DePaul, we are still here, even in this time that's really challenging for everybody. And all of these things continue to happen. Just the other day, I was talking with a colleague who was reminding me that we often, as higher ed employees, forget how much access we have to people who are leaders in their field and really engaging content that they provide on the academic side. And we've, I think, done a pretty good job of weaving a lot of that in to BDC Live. So there's always kind of something for everybody. And it's grown, and we love how much people enjoy tuning in and seeing what's going on there.
Absolutely. I will tell you, the entire RNL Scale Funder team was following along. We all learned how to do origami, which you're seeing here. We watched the lecture series. We're geeking out all day on your Giving Day. So I'm glad to hear that you feel that you're really digging in and engaging some of the donors and constituents that you otherwise would have a tough time reaching. So that is awesome. And for anyone who's interested, I hope you'll tune into BDC in January of next year to keep an eye on BDC Live. It is really quite an experience. So that's fabulous. I want to talk a little bit about some other examples of what I think is one of the most engaging and exciting parts of a Giving Day. As you saw with DePaul, that really is using a Giving Day as a launch pad for developing or further developing your brand, your institution's sort of community engagement. We see so many unique identifying elements from our RNL Scale Funder partners, things like BDC Live. I know later on we're going to talk a little bit about something I believe is called the Swag Shuttle, which is a very special thing for DePaul. We have partners who are doing all kinds of community engagement things, maybe focusing on a beloved live mascot and raising money for them. I know Drake University just did that a couple of weeks ago, to leaning in. And I know Ole Miss every year does Name a Squirrel as one of their challenges, just really getting back to the heartbeat of your campus and meeting your donors again where they are. So as you're seeing on the screen here, this example of an RNL postcard partner here, we have West Virginia University, and Gordon Gee, their president, is well known for his penchant for bow ties. So they wove that into their strategy this year to appeal to their community and to sort of remind people through their marketing to get back to what they love and to really lean into that West Virginia University spirit. Also, I think the cutout bow tie is just such a creative idea. So, Kylene, I am excited to jump in and really get to the heart of what we're talking about today. And that is using Giving Days as a way to engage your entire community. So now that you've built an engaging page, which BDC obviously is a very engaging page, how do you identify niche groups to target with solicitations social media marketing, even looking into engaging folks as social media ambassadors on your giving day. So these groups you're seeing here on the screen are possible groups. I know that DePaul really does tend to engage a lot of these, and our other partners do as well, looking at the niche groups of donors and leaning in to develop some strategies to meet them where they are. The one caveat I want to add in here before we dive in is that every institution's priorities really are different. I think Kylene would agree with that after looking at some other inspirational giving days and looking for some creative strategies. It really seems like everyone just has a different community. They have a different concept of what their target groups are. But nearly every one of our R+L Scale Funder partners has mentioned several of these that are on the screen here. So alumni, looking at those niche groups, Kylene, I know we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about your alumni and how you engage your different groups. So I'm excited to dive in there. Looking at faculty and staff, current students, again, that swag shuttle is on my mind. Major donors and board members, even looking at corporate and foundation partners, other community members, sports fans, art lovers. And so let's dive in and explore how different elements of giving days can help you engage each group. So we're going to jump in here a little bit. I'm going to talk through some Scale Funder examples. Kylene, please chime in here with any examples you have from DePaul that you want to cover here. I know you guys do a lot of engaging of different niche alumni groups on your day. So let's start with the obvious group here, your alumni. What do we know about them? So again, every alumni base is different. And a platform like Scale Funder allows you to tailor your strategy based on your unique constituent trends. In the R+L Scale Funder platform, the solution to addressing donor behavior and activity and affinity trends is really creating targeted events based either on giving to a certain area or based on how donors identify. Let's think about this. Do you have alumni with strong class year or decade affinity? You're seeing that here on the screen from our partners at Morningside University, who are very soon hosting a 2023 Battle of the Decades as their giving day in hopes of capitalizing on their significant class year affinity. They've themed all of their challenges to each of their decades, and they have donors from each of those decades who are sponsoring those. Maybe the example you're looking at is Greek affinity or athletic affiliation that's driving your alumni. So this example from Cal State Fullerton is their fraternity and sorority giving challenge. They award additional dollars to Greek endowment funds for organizations in the top spots. Kylene, I know you are a fan of those leaderboards. So do you want to maybe talk about an example of an affinity-based leaderboard you guys did this year?
Sure. Well, we had a couple of leaderboards this year. We haven't made as much use of them in the past as we would have liked, and decided we would dive in this year. And I am kind of regretting that we didn't do it sooner. People were just really involved, and it's interesting to watch how competitive some of our internal constituents in particular can get when you offer them, the public ability to either come in first, second, or third. It is really interesting to see how that gets everybody's competitive juices flowing. We use them for, I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but for some of our residence halls as a way of engaging some of our students in the giving day, as well as the percentage leaderboard we used for our schools and colleges, and set them all up and just kind of put them in the ring and said, you guys go at it. With first, second, and third are going to have some dollars on the line.
That's great. I'll tell you, it is really that instant gratification as you're seeing these move in real time on the leaderboard during a live giving day. So I'm glad to know that hindsight is 2020 and that you guys are diving in the future, and will continue to make use of those leaderboards. That's awesome. So again, just looking at another example here of use of one of those leaderboards for affinity. This is from our partners at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. They do a specific athletic giving day every year. They just completed it. And wow, they talk about competition. Look at the number of gifts for those different giving areas. It could get cutthroat. So they do brackets based on donations to each different athletic area. Prioritizing coaches' sharing of this bracket challenge is really important. Kylene, I know you mentioned internal stakeholders getting a little bit less than friendly on those competitions. So I want to dive in and talk a little bit more about engaging alumni niche groups. So you can obviously ask questions of your alumni about their affinity, ask them what sport they played, what class year they graduated from, which residence hall, I love this example we'll talk about when we get to talking about students, but which residence hall they feel connected to, all kinds of things. You can also set these up based on where people are giving to show that connection toward someone's major or maybe even toward their class year or decade. So this example here on the screen is from our partners at the University of Sioux Falls. They have 6 funds that folks are able to give to on their giving day, and they have one specific challenge for each of those areas. This past year, they did a fine arts challenge, so all donors who have ever given to fine arts and all alumni who graduated from those majors were sent targeted solicitation emails driving them to make a gift to participate in this event. So looking at a niche group from that alumni category, I want to talk a little bit about young alumni. So our research from over 30,000 young alumni tells us that those who are not yet giving tend to focus more on direct cause areas. This means that on Giving Day, focusing some of those challenges, matches, and your content on specific impact-driven giving options will increase your success in capturing those new, younger donors, that next generation of your donor base. Kylie, do you want to share a little bit about some of those niche matches and challenges you have for your different giving areas to build young alumni affinity and connection?
Sure. There's a couple of ways that those come about for us. And in some cases, we see something interesting happening on campus and think this would be a great thing to highlight, or this is something that people are really paying attention to. In some cases, we really had a lot of student mental health issues come into focus in the last couple of years. And I know that we are far from alone in that. And so, we decided there are a lot of people who really want to make a strong impact with these gifts. And as you point out, are less inclined to give to a general fund and more inclined to give to something very specific. So, we consider things like mental health when we're aware of these overriding issues that we have. It's a great way to reach out to our donors and say, this is something you can do that will make a difference here. In some other cases, one of our challenges this year, we had a donor who reached out to us and wanted to create a scholarship. She wanted to give $50,000 and wanted it to be tied to the Blue Demon Challenge. So before we could even solicit her for a gift, and in fact, she wasn't an alum, she became aware of the Blue Demon Challenge, really had an area she wanted to support, and she wanted to encourage people to give and have their giving to that area unlock her gift. And so sometimes you just have these wonderful people who come forward and the donor feels strongly about the area that they want to bring in more support for. And so, it might be something that grows out of activity that we have going on at DePaul, or it could be that you've got a donor who helps kind of drive their area of interest. But I think all of those things are valid, and all of that gives you some good fodder, and it gives you a wide range of things for donors to choose from when the day comes.
Absolutely. That's a great story. I think that just further drives the fact that you guys have built a giving day that is engaging your entire community and even people who may not be members of your community. So that's awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I'm going to continue on the path of young alumni. I say that as the millennial in the room. I want to talk about another thing we know about young alumni, and that is that they tend to give or prefer to give through digital wallets. So I want to talk briefly about our partnership with Braintree, which is a PayPal preferred payment processor. So we, as at RNL Scale Funder, have a number of payment processors we connect with, we integrate with, and our partners really do use sort of a wide variety of those options. Braintree is our most robust integration, and we have some stats here on the screen that really drive home the importance, I think, of young alumni and all of your alumni really having opportunities to give through digital wallets. So Braintree offers an integration with PayPal wallets, Venmo, and with Apple Pay. You can choose to turn those on independently. Just in the past year, we've seen almost 27,000 online gifts come through Braintree, which is just a bananas number that I can't wrap my brain around. 34% of gifts from our partners that have Braintree and have all of these digital wallets turned on came through one of those digital wallet options. Gifts made via those digital wallets made up 23% of online dollars raised for those partners that have it turned on. Again, these are just mind-boggling statistics. In Venmo, we saw a much lower than average gift of $37 among our partners as the average there. And I think that very obviously points to the fact that these are first-time younger donors. Kylene, do you have anything to add here about digital wallets, Braintree, and the integration there?
These were really big for us. The Braintree integration was not challenging. It was pretty smooth. We had great support both from RNL and from Braintree in making that happen. And, when we first did this integration, we had talked about doing kind of a rollout, like let's let people know that these are options and tell people that they can make a gift this way. And our decision was we're going to get it up and running. We're going to test it, make sure everything's going okay, get some gifts coming in. And the next thing we knew, we were just getting gifts that way without having kind of done this rollout that we had talked about doing. People saw that option and they jumped on it. So these have been really important for us. It's been great for us also just to, let our crowdfunding campaigns, let them know that their donors can use these as vehicles for giving. And I will also say it has also been my perception that many of the younger donors are the ones who are really embracing Venmo. But I can say as Gen X and the parent of people in the millennial and Gen Z groups, that's because that's what my kids use. That's how I get money to my kids. So it, for me, is one of my first options. And I think there may be other people who are in our, I don't know if older is a nice word to say, but a little bit older than we would assume are going to use some of those tools. But because you're working within your family and you start using them for personal use, we might find that starts to expand. I'll be interested to see how that kind of plays out over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you sort of confirm that these really do work for all of your donors. I think you have a great point there. Absolutely. Okay, we're going to jump into the next niche group. And these are, I will say this as someone who is a staff member at a university for quite some time. And Kylene, I know you have been with DePaul for again, quite some time. I think your faculty and staff members are one of your most crucial, if not your absolutely most crucial group to engage for a giving day. I'm sure you will attest to this. They are often the unsung heroes of advancement shops because of their deep relationships with your alumni. Faculty and staff members make fabulous social media and word of mouth ambassadors for you. In fact, studies show that internal, so faculty and staff ambassadors, can be up to 7 times more effective than other ambassadors at acquiring gifts for a fundraising campaign. I talk about this a lot with the university and nonprofit partners I work with in my capacity on the RNL Scale Funder team. So in the Scale Funder platform, you are able to really set your ambassadors up for success. I'm going to have Kylene jump in a minute and share a little bit about what they have done at DePaul. You can embed images and videos for your ambassadors to share with their community. You can upload a toolkit, which might include sample social media language. I know DePaul uses some really great email templates and suggested language there. And maybe even share some ideas of how your ambassadors can best tell their stories of connection with your university or your organization as they are going out and spreading the word about your giving day. Also, we brought this up earlier, but there is a competitive element here as well. Every ambassador has access to what we call the ambassador dashboard, where they can see the names of non-anonymous donors who've given through their custom ambassador sharing URL. They can also track the impact of their efforts there and really have a list of folks to reach out to and thank for making a gift. So I want to invite Kylene to join us and share a little bit about how the DePaul team has built, honestly, as the person who just looked through your data after the Blue Demon Challenge, a record-breaking and fabulous ambassador program targeting not only your faculty and staff, but also alumni, community members to achieve just some stellar results. So Kylene, take it away.
We were really pleased with how things turned out with our ambassador program this year. We had decided that this was an area that we needed to focus on. We had had some great ambassador support in the past, a handful of people who have been doing this for several years now, and we love to see them come back and sign up to do it again. And we knew that, again, as you point out, it has absolutely been the case for us that our faculty and staff who are ambassadors for the Giving Day are always at the top in terms of dollars, and specifically in terms of donors that they're bringing in on those days. They just bring a unique voice, and there are so many different things that they can speak to about the importance of giving back. But we also realized that we could be doing more. So the effort that we put in this year started within our office. We're a mid-sized shop. Our annual giving team is I think, very small relative to the size of our advancement operation. But we decided we are going to sit down with everybody in our office. We did a couple of group meetings and said, here's what it means to be an ambassador. We're going to be really specific. Here's how you sign up. Here's the information we give people. Here's, we're going to give them training. Now, what we need from you as our advancement partners is talk to your academic colleagues in the colleges and schools. You know who the faculty rock stars are. You've got relationships with, staff members who have, maybe it's an advisor who's, an award-winning advisor and has done extremely well, and they have a lot of connections to current students and recent alumni. You know who these people are. Help us reach out to the right people and invite them to get involved and invite them to make their own impact on this day. And we then put together some additional training and said, you guys work with advisory boards within your colleges. So in addition to the university's board of trustees, we have myriad advisory boards for every school and college and for many of our larger departments, centers and institutes. So these are people who have raised their hand and said, I want to help. I want to be a part of what's going on at DePaul. This is something you can ask them to do. And I also think, we don't always ask our volunteers to take as many actions as I think they would like to take. And so this is a great opportunity for us to say, here's something you can do for DePaul. And we will tell you how. We will give you the tools that you need to do it. And we will make this as simple for you as possible in the process. But we really did see so many people respond. As always, there's going to be people who sign up and either something happens and their day goes off the rails, which, that is always going to be an issue. I think for some people, they really want to help, and then maybe they get a little bit shy about asking people to give, and we could do a better job of helping them understand how personalized text talking about why they give is, one way to really get through to people and inspire them to give as well. But we were really pleased with the results. We had put a lot of effort into that on the, planning stage. So to see that play out and see the response from so many of our faculty and staff across the university and a lot of our, alumni volunteers as well, it really just made for a very effective team. And we had a lot of them who were doing a fantastic job bringing in donors for us.
Absolutely. I think we ended up saying that almost a quarter of your dollars raised came through your ambassadors this year, which is really impressive, and I think speaks to your commitment to building this program even more than you had in previous years. So it was really exciting to see some of those numbers. Okay, we're going to jump into a group that I think a lot of institutions kind of shy away from targeting, and those are your current students. DePaul does a fabulous job at this, and Kylene, you're going to get tired of talking about this, but I'm going to bring you back and talk about this niche group that you guys have done such a great job of really engaging in creative ways. So I'm hoping you'll talk a little bit about the bus you have on campus and how that impacts sort of morale around your giving day and building what I like to call the culture of philanthropy for your next generation of donors, your current students. And then talk a little bit about this pizza party, which is really exciting to me.
You bet. I mean, I think we all have that same reaction when you talk about student giving. We all know that you've got to get people giving while they're students. They are not going to turn around when they're 40 and start giving, making major gifts when they haven't been giving to you in between. So you really need, while they're here and they're a captive audience, to help make the connections for them about the importance of giving back. And I think too, there is broadly, there's a lot of kind of connection in people's minds about giving and scholarship specifically. And I think you really want to make sure that students understand, it's the building that you're sitting in. It's the professor who's teaching this class that has made a difference for you. There are so many ways that donors impact the experience at a university. And it is not just about whether you got scholarship and therefore feel more or less obligated to make a gift later, but really you're helping build the future university that is, that's the university that you're going to be tied to going forward. And you want it to have as great a reputation as possible. giving back is one of the few things that you can do to add value to a degree that you already have. So how do we start giving them that message as students that whether or not you're getting buckets of scholarship support, you are still, every single one of you who has set foot on this campus has benefited from the generosity of our donors. So, our student body at DePaul is roughly a third first-generation students. We have, I think, about 30% of our students are Pell eligible. So we do have quite a few students on our campus for whom giving may not be either a possibility, let alone a priority. So some of what we talked about this year is how do we have always done tabling on campus, which at DePaul is also kind of a project. We have 2 campuses in the city of Chicago. Our kind of residential campus where the quad is and the nice little buildings is in the Lincoln Park neighborhood, which is one of Chicago's more kind of bustling neighborhoods on the north side of the city. But we also have, and in fact, most of our students go to class on our Loop campus, which is Chicago's downtown business district. And that's where our College of Business and College of Law and a couple of our other colleges are housed. So we always make sure that we have tables set up in places where we know a lot of our students are going to be, and give them an opportunity to make a gift and, try and celebrate that, have a, couple of giveaways, some things that are exciting. One of the things that DePaul introduced last year was a shuttle to take students between classes. We have, a pretty robust public transportation system, and our students do have a card that allows them to use the train for free. But more and more students were looking for something that was, a little bit just designed for them. They weren't mixed in with the general public, and they could just get on that bus right outside one of the buildings and go back and forth between the other campus where they live. So we were talking about how do we help our students give if they don't have the capacity to make a gift, but they want to be part of this day? And so our thinking was, this is where we reach out to those donors who make a gift every year to the annual fund. Our, general fund gifts can be used for any purpose, areas of greatest need. You have donors who will make gifts to the general fund every year. So why don't we reach out to some of these people and say, can you make the gift that we will then use and let students decide where it's going to go? So that was how we decided our students could make a gift without the money having to come out of their pocket. We get a donor who will put the money behind it, but let the students get involved and engage and decide where that money goes. And it helps them see when we tell them you can give to anything. You can give to your student organization. You can give to your major or to your college or to the basketball team or wherever you want the money to go. They were very involved and very excited about having the opportunity to do that. So we decided at a meeting, we were trying to think how to engage the students. I don't remember. I wish I could credit the person who came up with the idea, but we just kind of stopped and said, cash cab. We could do kind of a cash cab, but we'll use the shuttle that runs between campuses. So we called it the Swag Shuttle. And a couple of our wonderful colleagues went in and literally decorated it and rode the shuttle with the students. And they had drafted a whole bunch of trivia questions that were all about DePaul. So they would ask the trivia questions. It's a couple of mile ride. They had about 20 minutes, half an hour with the students to ask these questions. So while they were riding the shuttle, they would just, ask the trivia questions. And the students who got the right answer then had, I think it was $25 that they could assign to whatever fund they wanted. It was really a hit. It was so much fun for the students. But again, it was, the most important thing from our perspective is it was a learning opportunity for them. It helped them be a part of the process of giving without it being painful or something that they were unable to do. But it also opened their eyes to the different ways that they can have an impact when they are alumni. And the idea that they could give to any area of campus, I think, really was news. And it was important for them to know.
That is incredible. I will be sneaking on the Swag Shuttle next year when I'm in Chicago. Thank you. I will absolutely be doing that.
You're always welcome.
So I love this idea. I will tell you, we've had a few partners adopt this cash cab idea to really engage students over the last couple of Giving Day seasons. I feel like I'm running a sports team here with seasons, but I think everyone I've spoken with who's run this has felt that it was worth their time, that it was again, building that culture of philanthropy, just like you said. So I'm excited to hear how you continue to grow that moving forward. And I suspect that your donors who were putting up the dollars behind those choices from your students would also feel a little bit special about having that connection of building philanthropy for the next generation. So that is very unique, and I love that. So I'm hoping you'll share a little bit now about this very new to me idea of the pizza party leaderboard. The way you do this is so unique, and I think a lot of our partners who use the R+L Scale Funder Giving Day platform, and also folks who are attending this webinar who use different platforms would really benefit from hearing about this.
Sure. This was one more way of, how do we bring the students in? How do we bring the student? We don't have a culture of philanthropy, and, many schools share that issue. And, we've talked for many years at DePaul about how do we try and build this culture of philanthropy. So again, recognizing that this really starts while people are on campus and students here. How do we get them giving? And so we just thought, let's give them a stake in it. And we added a question on the giving page for people to choose their affiliation. And we, want to make sure we know if you're a student, an alum, a parent, faculty and staff. And, when you choose different options, Scale Funder allows us to then nest additional questions under those primary questions. So if you choose that you're a student, the next thing that's going to pop up and say, oh, well, are you graduating this year? This helps us keep a record for when we're doing our senior class gift. We've got a record of those people who are graduating who did make a gift this year, and we give them credit for being part of that effort as well. But then this year we decided we're going to make it fun. We're going to raise the stakes. And we worked with our director of residence halls, and we said, we're going to give them a list of every residence hall. And if you identify as a student, a lot of our students live on campus their first year, and then they move into apartments off campus. So we're not really a commuter campus so much, but we do have a lot of off-campus students. So we don't care if you're currently in the residence hall, you're just voting for your favorite. What's the best residence hall? And let's see what people have to say. So if you were a student, then you would get the question on the giving page, vote for one residence hall. And we set it up as a leaderboard, and we told them the winner is going to get a pizza party. And again, with funds that were given to us by a donor to cover the cost of the pizza party. And so University Hall, U-Hall, came out on top. And as a result, they were able to celebrate with a pizza party. But it was one more way to kind of tie in for students while they were giving. But then also, it ties in for those students who live in U-Hall, who maybe weren't taking part in the giving day. It was not really on their radar. It allowed them to kind of see, oh, well, this happened as a result of people getting to vote. Next year, we have to make sure we vote for this again, so we're the ones who win. But it really was a good way to, just kind of extend the fun. For all of us, this is the most stressful day of the year, and it is the most fun day of the year. And it should, I think, probably always be both. And so this just helped us make, stretch the fun out a little bit and give our students another thing to kind of cap off that week of, Spirit Week at DePaul and this big giving day. This is our 125th year, so we had a lot of number 125. It was on January 25th. So that was kind of 125 was sort of woven into everything we did. And it just sort of stretched out that fun and let them have a celebration at the end with pizza for having the coolest residence hall.
I love this idea. And we're going to have to check back in next year after BDC 2024, which feels like it's both around the corner and also about 100 years away. I'm curious to see how exactly what you were talking about, building that culture, sort of setting a status quo this year will increase your student giving next year, because I suspect you will see some larger numbers. Who doesn't love pizza? This is great. Okay, I'm going to dive in just a little bit and share a little bit of my dirty backstory, which is that I am a former major gift officer. I like to joke that I'm recovering from my time in major gifts, but I think I'm always thinking through the lens of a major gift officer or a development officer, really thinking about ways to engage your major donors, both on Giving Day and other campaigns throughout the year. Kylie mentioned crowdfunding. I think that offers a lot of opportunities as well for you to engage your major donors or potential major donors in ways that really encourage them to think differently about their giving. So giving days are really the perfect opportunity for that. In the RNL Scale Funder platform, we have what we call events. They are dollar for dollar matches. They are unlocking challenges. They are those reward leaderboards that we are so fond of. They offer you a chance to highlight a major donor's contributions to your organization and also to use their gift to inspire others to give. Kylene's given us a couple of really great creative examples of that, from the swag shuttle and those dollars behind those gifts, to even looking at those affinity groups, that donor who had the $50,000 challenge she wanted to issue. These are examples I hear all the time. I hear this from our partners everywhere. So your conversation with major gift donors or potential major gift donors really can start with their plans for your upcoming fiscal year. We're going to dive a little bit more into that in a few minutes. Maybe Giving Day will compel them to make their gift early, make an additional gift, or even increase their annual contribution to your organization, and really think about having the greatest impact they can, not only with their dollars, but also with their presence. Asking your major donors to consider making a gift to sponsor one of these matches, challenges, or leaderboards, or even creative adventures like the swag shuttle can have an even greater impact than the dollar amount of the gift they are giving. So even if you have a major donor who wishes to remain anonymous, I do get that question a lot. Well, does it still have the same impact? Are you still seeing that matches or challenges that are sponsored by anonymous donors have an impact on Giving Day donors? They absolutely do. It shows, and Kylie, I think you will attest to this, it shows that there is a real human being behind those dollars. So do you want to talk a little bit more about reactions you may have gotten from some of the students on the swag shuttle who learned that these dollars came from real humans, or maybe even, comments you've gotten from donors who have realized, yes, it may be an anonymous donor behind this match or challenge, but it's a real human being who wants to further impact DePaul?
Yeah, I think that's so important. And, it is, we all need those people who are really stepping up and being leaders. And being a leader doesn't have to mean giving the largest amount. Being a leader is making a gift that's significant to you, whatever your circumstances are. And we're fortunate that we have, our major gift officers are committed to this effort. And, it really does come down from our leadership that they are expected to work with their donors and, find the right combination of areas where we need support or where we want to focus for our Giving Day, and having a donor for whom that is a meaningful way to give and to be recognized. I think, some of them have gone into it. They maybe haven't paid attention as much to Giving Day before, and they kind of agree to do it. And they're so tickled when they see how it turns out and they see the response to some of the challenges that have been issued. We had one this year that was it was one of my favorite challenges that we had. It was a faculty member who is getting ready to retire. Her husband is a physician, and they're both retiring from their respective jobs, and decided, let's do something in honor of our retirements. And so they together, she signed up to be an ambassador, and they together did a lot of outreach to people and just had an enormous outpouring of gifts to one of our departments that where she was a faculty member. And I think, having their names on it and having it be a celebration of, like, as a gift to us for our retirement, support these DePaul students, and that would be meaningful to us. I think they were kind of even blown away by the response to it. So, the students who, because this was a faculty member, her former students were giving, and their friends were giving. And so it really does, all of these things kind of check so many different boxes of engagement and, acquisition and retention. And each of these gifts can be the same kind of thing. You're stewarding a donor, and you're bringing in new people who hadn't, made a gift before. And so on a kind of micro level, each of the challenges has the ability to do all of those things, to serve as a way to retain donors who have been giving to certain areas in the past, to, bring in new donors because they come through the donor or the outreach that we're doing specific to the area where their gift is going to go. And then also, it's such a great stewardship touch for the person who makes that challenge gift. And, if you're playing your cards right, you're going to wind up with a successful challenge and a very happy donor at the end.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head here. I think retaining donors and acquiring new donors, I always say, are two of the most expensive and difficult parts of our jobs as fundraisers. And as you can see from these examples here, the Scale Funder platform, and I'm sure other Giving Day platforms, make it really easy for you to not only acknowledge that there is, like you said, something to inspire those Giving Day donors to jump online and make a gift, show them that there's a real human being behind the sponsorship of the match or the challenge, but also to steward those donors in a unique way. Even some of your donors who've been around the block for years and years and years, who finally raise their hand and want to participate in Giving Day, I think, like you said, they can often be tickled at public response there. So some of these examples you're seeing here on the screen are ways that our partners have acknowledged their sponsors of these events. You're seeing this top example actually from DePaul University, of that anonymous donor for that mental health matching challenge. You're seeing this bottom left example from Duquesne University. They put a photo of the sponsoring donor there. This top example on the right is from Boise State. This is showing up on the donor wall as a way of acknowledging that family challenge. And then this bottom example from the University of Idaho, they replaced the, join us for this challenge language after it was completed with this result language, thanking the donors and thanking their broader community. So I think this is absolutely, I wouldn't go as far as to say that major donors are unsung heroes. I think we recognize how important they are to our strategy, but I think it's interesting to think about involving them in your Giving Day strategy as well. So I want to pivot a little bit here as we close out our conversation today and talk about engaging community partners. So for some of our RNL Scale Funder partners, corporate and foundation donors can make a big difference for your Giving Day efforts by sponsoring a match, challenge, or event. So these are just different kinds of major gift donors. They can help with not only providing the funds behind these matches, challenges, and leaderboards, but also help you in spreading the word. So these examples you're seeing here, this top one is from our partners at Oakland University. They have a wonderful credit union partner in their community. They do social media challenges with them throughout the day using a special hashtag. And then the credit union sponsors specific matches and challenges throughout the day. This example here that has the PepsiCo logo on it is from Cal State Fullerton. PepsiCo gives them $10,000 and they use that to really engage donors to give to these different areas that are available. And then finally, this example here from Indiana State University shows the use of our custom events feature in RNL Scale Funder, which is where you can highlight that you are having an on or off campus event. I know DePaul has made use of that in the past to highlight events you have on campus and maybe some around town as you're looking at engaging alumni everywhere. So finally, to wrap things up, I want to invite Kylene to come and join me again and share a little bit about how DePaul engages your major donors in your Giving Day and how you really do coordinate with your entire advancement shop. I know you mentioned that the annual giving team is small but very mighty, as we have seen, but maybe looking at some broad strokes to wrap up here of how you really work to appeal to every audience we have discussed today.
Oh gosh, where to begin? We are very small but mighty, but we have a 3-person annual giving team with an alumni base in the neighborhood of 200,000. So it really is a very small group for the institution of our size. Our broader advancement office is over 60 people. So again, I still think even in terms of a ratio, we're probably pretty small compared to our peers whose shops are the same general size as ours. But what that means is that you just have to rope in all of these people. And again, we've had great support from our leadership, both in our division, but also, from the president's office on down, making sure that everybody knows that, this is a day that is a celebration of everything DePaul. And in order for it to happen, we really rope in all of our colleagues in advancement. This year, everybody had an assignment, and some of those people were in the office sending out emails to donors and, reaching out to like some of our, prior year donors who hadn't made their gift yet, trying to get them to renew on that day. Other people were, staffing the swag shuttle or manning tables on campus, on both campuses, so that we had a live presence and an ability to, invite people to make a gift while they were standing right there. So our events, as I think I mentioned earlier, our Giving Day is when it is because it's part of our Spirit Week. And so we have a lot of events that are happening on campus. Not all of them are necessarily tied to the Blue Demon Challenge, but on the date when the Blue Demon Challenge happens, that becomes, kind of at least one piece of all of these other events that are happening. We take over the student center, which is where our dining hall is. So for all of our residential students, we figure at some point during that day, we're going to catch them coming in or out of that building. We make sure that we've got fun things going on. We had a big bingo game this year. We had music performances going on in one of our event spaces, just any number of ways to get people to stop, learn what the day is about, have a little bit of fun. We had, our student affairs colleagues were behind a lot of the efforts that were going on. I certainly don't want to imply it was even just advancement. There's just a lot happening on campus. And again, it's just, these things are always going to be most successful when they're fun. And it needs to be fun for the people who are on campus. It needs to be fun for your donor in another country who's coming and looking at your website. People, you want to bring people in and make them enjoy this as an experience. But so really for our events, the key for us is having as many partners on campus as possible who can help make as many different things possible, much more than we could do with our small team. And again, our small team is, of course, running the Giving Day, and we're kind of, nestled in a conference room making all the things happen. So we do rely on partners, and I definitely would encourage anybody especially if you have a small team, there is just more than a couple of people can get done. And it is important that you get others. If you've got student workers who you can rope into helping you, anybody you can get to be a spare set of hands, doing coffee and donuts in the morning and asking people to make a gift while they're there, setting up, tables where people can stop and, get a sticker that says I gave and make their gift. Just really trying to have as much of a presence as possible. There are still in a university, when you've got 20,000 students, there are going to be people who manage to kind of miss what you're doing. But we want to make sure, to the extent possible, if you're on campus, you're tripping over us everywhere you go on that day. We just want to make sure that we don't lose the opportunity to have a person be a part of it because they didn't know. And so it just takes a lot of effort and getting out there and again, just all hands on deck and making it as fun as possible.
Absolutely. I think you're totally right. I joke around with a lot of the partners I work with and tell them Giving Days are team sports, but I really think they are. I think DePaul's success this year and some of the creative ideas we've talked about today for engaging all of your constituents will show you really just how much is possible when you lean into that mentality. So Carlene, thank you so much for sharing your insight and giving us a little bit of creative inspiration today from DePaul. Thank you everyone for joining us today for this Giving Day Best Practices session. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the creative ways DePaul and other R+L Scale Funder partners engage every single niche group of their constituent bases during Giving Days. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of AIS.